Hello, Daz Studio patrons. This is Not From This World, and I want to welcome you back to my Daz Studio tutorial page. Now, today I want to talk about setting up a large scene. Now, this can be either a scene with a huge environment, like you see here with this desert, or it could be a scene where you have a lot of characters. I've recently had some commissions where I have these large scenes, and they can become very frustrating to try and build and pose as we build a comic if we don't know a few tricks. So, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to give you a few tips on how to build these large scenes and navigate through them using Daz Studio so it's not so frustrating. For this tutorial, I want to talk about grouping your props and characters and how this will make it easier for you to navigate through Daz Studio. In this scene, I've got a huge desert, and then I've got 4 characters and several props like a tent, a truck, a fire, etc. I also have details in the scene where I've got plants and cactus and that kind of thing. Now, first off, I want to show you what I used here. It's called the AP Modular Wadi Desert. And this is a really cool environment, but it is huge. So when you load it up and use its various props, it's going to eat a ton of memory as you use Daz Studio. So once this is loaded, it becomes very difficult to navigate through Daz Studio. And I want to show you exactly what I mean. I've got a scene set up here, and I'm going to try and just do some posing. And this is going to be in real time, and it is so frustrating once you get everything set up. I'm just going to try and navigate this camera, and my Daz Studio, even though I've got a 4070 Ti GPU and a really good computer, I've got Daz Studio bogged down. So I am trying to just move my camera, and you can see it's just a major hassle. And a lot of people will abandon trying to make these large scenes because you just can't navigate through Daz Studio very well. My computer's kind of overworking, and I get frustrated trying to pose once I have things set up. Now, the trick I want to show you today is grouping all of your assets separately so we can hide them. And that is the big key, is being able to hide this and not use all of this geometry in Daz Studio all at once. So the first thing that I did was I took all of my scenery. I took my plants, I took my cliffs, ground, everything that was going to be static in the scene and not really changing. I grouped and I named it scenery. So as you can see here, if I drop down this scenery menu, you're going to see all of these props all put into one folder. And so what I can do is I can just group everything and then hide it. Remember, if you don't know how to group, if you're a newbie to Daz Studio, first of all, thanks for watching my video. But I just want to show you really quick. I know a lot of you already know how to do this, but to make a folder, highlight what you want in your scene. So let's say I want to group all my characters together. I'm just going to highlight them, and you can select them and then hold down your control key, and then just go to create, and then drop down to create new group. And then when you do that, you can just name the group whatever you want and then hit accept. Now, I've already created my groups, and so what I have are 3 big groups. I have my scenery group, I have my native character group with 3 characters. These are Genesis 8 characters. And then I have my Karstine girl character that I have selected as a group as well. So I built these figures and then I grouped them so I can hide individual parts. The problem is this epic, cool desert scene is taking up a lot of geometry and it's eating a lot of our memory. So what we need to do is just hide it when we want to pose. And posing characters and then moving cameras can be agonizingly slow in these large scenes. Hiding large geometry props is going to fix a lot of this problem. So I just hit the eyeball and I'm hiding the scenery. Now, when I go to a camera, navigating around DAZ Studio should be easier. So hiding some of this geometry is really going to help us with our frustration trying to pose. I always try and leave some landmarks, like I left my fire and I left the tent, so that if I move characters around, I know where approximately things are. So when I go back and hit the scenery and make it visible again, I don't accidentally move the character into the wrong spot. Another thing also, you have to have your scenery visible to get your characters in the correct position. So for example here, my Jeep is kind of floating above the scenery. And I have to have the scenery visible to adjust this so that it looks like the truck is on the ground. And the same thing with our characters. So to do this, it's going to be agonizingly slow, and I hate it so much that actually keeps me from making these large scenes. But, as a creator, I get commissions where they want this kind of thing. So what I do is open up my scenery, and even though things are going to be really slow, I'm going to use this Y translate to move the Jeep up and down. And I'm just going to double click on the number, and then I can type in my adjustment and then I can watch it move. See, it just moved down, and that's actually almost close to where I want. I might want it to be maybe -12, just so it looks like that's on the ground. One of the things I hate a lot about renders is when characters or props look like they're floating. So you have to take some time to make those adjustments. And actually making it a little bit lower, looks like this tire is actually pressing down. So that is really good. You have to kind of turn on and off viewing different groups. So now I can hide this scenery again and go to a different camera, rotate my camera and make different adjustments. So if I want to highlight these natives, by the way, these native LIE textures are just awesome. They are amazing. But you can see I can now adjust my camera a little bit easier. I can highlight a figure, and this is in real time. I can move the figure a little bit easier. Now, see, it's not going to be perfect. It's still kind of chunky, but it's a lot easier to move things. I can also hide other things. Now, my Genesis 9 character, my girl Karstine, is not a big character, but I could hide her. I can hide these natives. One thing that really slows down your posing and movement throughout DAZ Studio for some reason are different hairstyles. So making these groups is really going to speed up the process of creating your scene in DAZ Studio. But I want to mention one important thing about grouping, and that is I never group my cameras. If you notice in my scene tab here, my cameras are all separate. They are not grouped. I've noticed that when I group cameras, I get weird distortions when that camera is in a group. So I always leave my cameras alone and never group them. You'd think that grouping cameras would help you as well because you can turn on and off cameras, especially if you're using RenderQ. But the distortion of the scene through that grouped camera is terrible. So I never group those cameras. All right, so that is how creating groups can help you with large scenes. Next week, I'm going to take this a step further and I'm going to show you how you can use these groups to create subsets and then pose and add everything together using subsets. So I want to thank Karstine and my native ladies for helping me today. Milika is on vacation for the next couple of weeks, as am I. I am going to be doing some work in Peru, so I may have limited comments. I may have limited responses to all your comments over the next couple of weeks, but once I get back, I will address everything thoroughly, and Milika will be back as well. So I just want to say thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, give me those comments. I'll respond when I can. And until next time, happy rendering.